What's going on, guys? Today's project is we're gonna take this from a 2D piece of paper and we're gonna make it 3D. Check it out. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today's special project, we were asked by one of our buddies to make a gift for Adam Ely, who's the owner of Hard Luck Automotive Services, which is a non-profit shop for people that are down on their luck and need some help with auto repairs. So the whole basis behind him, and we'll link this down below. We'll link his website, his Facebook page, so if you guys can donate to him, that's great. He sells t-shirts, donations, everything. So what happens is people that are down on their luck, hard times, need some help with their auto repairs. They'll call him up. As long as they can afford the parts, he will do everything he can to fix that car or vehicle for free. So it's a really good cause that he has there. One of his buddies contacted us and wanted us to make his logo, which is this right here, wanted us to take it from a 2D image and make it 3D. So Adam was just recently featured on a show called Returning the Favor with Mike Rowe. It's a Facebook watch only show, I think it is. So if you guys haven't checked that out, please watch that. It's a pretty cool episode that he has. We'll link it down below just so that you guys can watch it and kind of get to know who Adam is. So Jason and I sat down one day and we decided, trying to figure out how we could do it, and we came across lost foam casting. There are tons of videos on YouTube about it. We did a lot of research on it, and this is kind of what we came up with right here. So we tried, 12 times to get this correct. We started with brass. We've never done any of this, so starting off with brass, guys, is not a good idea. I would start with aluminum, which is what we ended up doing. Just to kind of give you a little sneak peek of how we ended, this is actually our worst one that we had. But this is solid brass right here, and it just completely failed. The first 8 that we had were a lot better than this, but we are a little too picky and we started over. So here's what we came up with. Here's our Foundry. It's like a 50-50 mixture of plaster Paris and sand. So with all our research, we came up with some videos that we found on YouTube, because we had no idea where to even take this. We came up with this. We'll link the video that we got it from down in the description there. If you guys wanna make it, because we're not gonna show you how to make any of this. You guys can watch that video. It's a really good video. Check it out if you guys wanna do this. But I do recommend starting with aluminum. Don't do brass if you've never done this before. It'll just frustrate you, just kind of like it did us. I think it took us about 2 months to actually finish this project, and the original deadline was like 10 days. Just keep that in mind. So we built this, and then we ran into a whole lot of problems here. So brass melts at, was it 1750 degrees, something like that. So you have to use a steel cup. We said, okay, no problem. First one that we had, we made, and I think we got 2 or 3 pours out of that, and it completely failed. Filled up the bottom. This is our second Foundry, by the way. Filled up the bottom of the Foundry. We weren't able to use it, so we got some steel cups. This one also failed. This is our second of a cup like this. This is our first one. You can see that hole right inside there. It just poured everything into the bottom of that first Foundry, and that's when we had to scrap it because we couldn't even get it back out. So I made the second one here. Tried another cup, got it a little too hot because it melted the cup, and it's steel. Steel melts at 2500, I think. So that was our first problem we had to get by. All right, so after this cup failed, we went online and we bought this crucible here. What'd you say it was, number 5?
Yeah.
Number 5, we bought it off Amazon, 30 bucks. That thing worked great. Now you do have to follow the directions on it and season it just right so it doesn't crack. But it worked great. But we also had to make this little jet nozzle. King of Random, which is where we got that video on how to do the Foundry. He also has a video on how to make that. We did spare parts that we had laying around, so we didn't have to buy anything. So ours didn't work quite as well as his did. We had to hook the compressor up to it to really get the heat into it. But with that one nozzle and this barbecue grill propane tank, we were able to melt, first of all, brass, and then we switched to aluminum because it doesn't take quite as much heat to melt it. 1200 something degrees, maybe 13. And we had ton of aluminum cans that we could melt. So Pepsi, if you're watching, we could use some sponsorships here. So what we did, we just dropped these in there once it got hot, and bam, we had all that aluminum. So we started over probably 12 times before we got a final product. And aluminum, guys, works really well when you're doing this. So we took this sticker and we took it a step further because we weren't able to pour the knuckles with the letters in there. We never tried with aluminum. Yeah, we tried with brass 8 or 9 times and it failed every time. We just couldn't get the intricate details of the letters, and really there was no way to clean them once we figured that out. The very last one that we did, and the one that we sent off, and the one that you see that you're gonna see right here in a minute, is we made a solid knuckle out of aluminum. And then we also poured each individual letter separately. So we cut out little letters, 3D letters, poured them all separate, cut them up, sanded them, cleaned them, and then we drilled holes in our final product. Yeah, so this is what it looks like right here. So this is aluminum that we painted gold. And I don't know if there's a special kind of paint you're supposed to use on aluminum, but that is another area that we failed on. The first time we did this, because we actually started over, we did this thing twice, the ending of it twice.
Twice with aluminum.
With aluminum, yeah. Brass was 8 times, 2 times with aluminum. The first one we did looked really great. We wanted to make it gold instead of aluminum. We painted it with stuff that we did some research on, just stuff out of a can. It never hardened up. It was still tacky. We had a fan blowing on it 24/7, still couldn't get it. It was fine if it was inside or if it was cool. Humidity that we have here in Kansas, it just, you touched it and fingerprints all over it, the paint would smear. And we put really light coats on it. We still failed with that. So we completely scrapped that idea a week ago. And we busted ass. Jason spent 20 something hours sanding the final one that you see, cleaning up the letters, and we just epoxied the letters back into it, and we painted the letters gold. We wanted it the other way around. We wanted the knuckles gold and the letters to be aluminum. We just couldn't do it. But you live and you learn. We did the lost foam, and you'll see us cutting it out, and then we buried it in just regular, we got the finest play sand we could get from the local hardware store. We didn't, yeah, we didn't go crazy with that Petrobond sand. We do want to try that sometime, because I did try to make another logo that was really thin, and I think it just cooled off way too quick trying to burn through this foam at the same time. So yeah, we didn't do anything fancy. We just did regular play sand, wet it down just a little bit. It was still kind of dry. We packed it down in there. Took straws, just kind of poked holes just so that we could have some relief for the melted, the gases and foam and stuff. Because we did try one that we screwed up on completely, where we didn't do any of that, and it just completely backfired, came right out of where I was pouring it. Almost a bad day, because that was brass that we tried that with. To get that whole thing made out of aluminum, how many cans do you think that was? Probably 60, 70 cans maybe? And that was a solid piece of aluminum that we did. If we would have casted it like this with the finger holes in it, probably would have been a little bit less. So this Foundry that we have, I think you're only supposed to get 4 or 5 tries out of this before it just completely fails. This one has probably 6 or 7 on it. You can see it's starting to crack now. If you touch it too hard, I mean, you'll see it kind of fold out, fold away, break apart. But for just plaster of Paris and sand, we got quite a bit of uses out of it. The first one, we were up to about 7 or 8. And the only reason that one failed is because our cup failed and I couldn't get all the brass out of the bottom of it. Or we probably would still be using that one. But the key is to keep them dry. Don't let any moisture get into it or it'll just completely demolish all that plaster in there. Yeah, so on this one, we tried something completely different. Because what we did normally is we took the foam and we put it in the middle of the sand, packed sand all around it. This one, we just tried it on top. We just put the logo in there and just poured it right on top. Didn't have any risers in it or anything like that. And like I said, that was the worst one we had. The very first one that we did, we had never done this before. The very first one we did had the foam not had a big gouge in the back, and we just used it as a test piece. It would have been probably the best one we had. The letters came out really good. We could have cleaned it up. But then we got to doing a little bit of research there and realized that brass knuckles are actually illegal in Kansas and in Oklahoma where we were sending it. So it's probably a good idea we went with aluminum instead of the brass, which is good. It saved us probably a lot of money in shipping. One problem we did have, and I don't know if you guys have had this that have done this before, when we were trying to sand down those knuckles, we kept popping air bubbles. There's air bubbles in them, or they would crack and we'd throw little pieces out, and I think that's why we started over so many times. I can't remember because it's just been a long project. But if you guys know why that was happening, let us know in the comments, because I'm really curious. I do want to keep trying this, but the level of perfection that we chase, I'm not sure you can get it with the lost foam. We may have to go with the Petrobond sand. But we kept, every time we'd sand it, we'd pop up new pinholes in it, little air pockets. I didn't know if that's how, every video that we watched and all the research that we did, you would see everybody, as soon as they'd pull it out, they'd dunk it in water. And that's what we did just to cool it off so we could use it. I don't know if that affected the metal. I know if you're making knives or something and you heat it up and you throw it in water, it cracks it. I don't know if that's the same, if that's what happened to us. We never tried it where we just completely let it cool off. So if you guys have done that, let us know, because we are curious. We do want to keep trying this sometime, just to kind of perfect it, because there's a lot of cool things I think we can do with it in the future. So if you guys would let us know, we'd appreciate it. Just let us know in the comments what's going on, why we screwed up so many times. Because after 8 times, we were getting tired. 10. Yeah, frustrated on the whole thing. But we finally got one, number 10 or 11, I don't know, I lost count, to be honest with you. I cannot remember how many times we started over, we scrapped it. The one that we were gonna send off to them, we got it 95% done and we scrapped it. Took it back and started completely over. So yeah, check out the video of the finished project. We did put it in a little case. That wasn't asked, that was just something extra we did. Painted our logo on the bottom of it, put his on the top of it, cut out some foam, sent it on its way. So we're gonna show you kind of a time lapse. We're gonna do a time lapse of how this thing is made. We're not gonna go into detail with a whole lot of it, just because there's hundreds of videos out there, but we'll show you what we did. If you guys see anything that we can do better, let us know. So yeah, enjoy the video.
right now, I need aluminum. I have this 40-year-old fire extinguisher that I found at my house, and we're gonna go blow it. See, 40 years old, if they make quality stuff back then.
If they make it as good as they do now.
Yeah. Here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, she's alive! She just needed a little wake-up call.
Man, the last time that thing was serviced was 1976.
1976. I don't know who makes this.
They're probably not even in business anymore.
Underwriter Laboratory Incorporated?
Oh, that's the UL.
I have not a clue. But that's a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, they don't make them like that
40
anymore.
40 years, it still works.
Thanks again, Michael, for the idea. Definitely learned a lot. So thanks guys for watching. Check us out on our next video that we have. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, ring the bell, do everything. Check out our Facebook page. We keep up with Facebook. We post a lot of our little inside pictures in there. So if you haven't liked our Facebook page, check it out. So until next time, peace.